Good morning to my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. I'm down here at Cockle Bay once again. It's 5:30, but it's 5:30 on a Friday morning, which makes it even more special. The weekend is upon us. We're in autumn. We're celebrating autumn here in Sydney, and the weather has been absolutely spectacular, to say the least. And these brolgas around this mystical, fanciful billabong are basically showing their joy at life. And I absolutely love this installation. It is quite appealing, and I guess reflects all of our spirits at various times. What I'm doing today is I'm going to continue my vlog journey, where I do a book summary, something that I've been doing for almost 3 years now. And I've got to the point where I've accumulated 1,500 vlogs in English, a phenomenal amount of work, which puts me in a league of my own, because when it comes to book summaries, when it comes to having a YouTube channel, there are very, very few people in the world that can match me in terms of volume and in terms of variety, I guess is the best way of putting it. I won't say that I'm the best in the world at what I do, but what I do know is that this particular space, I own. There is nobody else who does what I do, having accumulated a library of material of 1,500 episodes of summaries of books and life experiences, where I go on a walk and talk virtually every day and go through the key points in a particular book, and also overlay it with some of my own personal experiences. Today's book summary that I'm proud to present is entitled Magnifiers, by an author named Liz Wiseman. Liz Wiseman, and she's written a few books. I think I can recall doing another couple of book summaries on Liz's books, and she has a wonderful style, a very uplifting style, and she talks about things that I guess are pleasing to the soul, and things that can teach us a thing or two about us by comparing and contrasting ourselves and our life experiences, our slithers of reality, to other people's slithers of reality. So what's this book all about? Magnifiers. Even the title is really, really appealing. I remember as a young economics student at high school there, with my economics teacher, my commerce teacher, Mr. Eric Stockdale. I still remember his name, and I still remember his style of teaching. He was very laid back. He loved to chat and to cajole the students and get us to think about things. But I remember in one of his classes where he talked about the economic effect of the multiplier effect, where 1 unit of contribution can generate many other units of economic activity. So the effect, the magnifier effect, is known, or the multiplier effect is known within economic cycles But what this author has done is she's taken this concept and has applied it to our human side to allow us to get a better understanding. So what the author here talks about, and the first key point that she elevates, is that the highest level of thinking cannot emerge without thinking, learning, and that learning connects people to people, and learning cannot quite happen without making mistakes. So the author here basically tries to peel the onion and to inform us, and I haven't quite nailed that introduction there, but what she's basically trying to say is that we are bound to make mistakes, and in our lives we all come into the world with different gifts, charismata, virtues, and we are made in God's image, which means that we are made with portions of God's virtues. We don't have all of his virtues, but we have basic building blocks that we all have in varying amounts, and it's up to us to use those building blocks throughout our lives to generate our own recipes. We all have a desire to achieve certain callings that are specific to us in our lives, and we're invited throughout our lives to make the most of our life, of our lifetime, and of our skills. We're invited to invest in developing our skills and building our capabilities so that we can not only serve God with all our heart, mind and soul, to glorify God, but to also serve each other, to love our neighbour as we love ourselves, which means that life isn't about just doing the most we can to create joy for ourselves, but to share that joy with other people. So this book here is really a story about a particular person, a particular sports person that I guess not too many people would know about. But the story is about a basketballer in America named Magic Johnson. And he was a person who was gifted with tremendous amounts of skills, but he used those skills not for his own expression, but to also help other people live a better life, perform better at their sport, and to help his teammates leverage their skills and help them look and to be great as well. Just as an aside, I remember years ago going to the Australian Ballet. My wife and I have been subscribers to the ballet for close to 40 years, and we used to sit next to an old lady. She was old back then, but she's probably about my age, what I am now, but her name was Mrs. Rutherglen, a lady of Jewish descent. Her son was a professor, an oncologist, and I remember sitting next to her one day during one of the performances there at the wonderful and beautiful Opera House, and at the end of the performance, we'd be sitting next to each other 4 times a year because I had tickets to the ballet for 4 performances every year. And I remember she'd be sitting there and exclaiming how wonderful Stephen Heathcote, who was the principal artist the principal male dancer of the Australian Ballet, and she'd be remarking how wonderful Stephen Heathcote was. And I remember her words even today because they were just so profound, where she said that Stephen Heathcote is so good at what he does. He has so much time because of his athleticism and his capability that he makes all of those people around him look good, look great as well. He, in her words, said that he's so generous that he makes others lift and look good as well. And I remember just pondering on those few words that this Australian citizen, this senior citizen, said, and I thought to myself, that is a great way to think about life, and how wonderful it is for somebody to reach the pinnacle of their career, of their calling, to have invested a lifetime in developing their skills, in honing their skills, to not only make themselves look good, but more importantly, to take those wonderful skills and to use them for greater betterment, to make other people look good, or for other people to perform better because of your contribution. And we've seen it in the past. We've all been part of teams, we've all been parts of organisations where there are individuals who are just head and shoulders above everybody else, and who are the magic glue that help things happen, and they develop and build other people around them. They don't break down, they don't damage, they don't control, but what they do with their skills is that they facilitate greatness in other people. And of course, we've also worked in organisations where we've worked for bosses who are absolute dead shits, who are people who just want to take all the glory and basically use the people around them and abuse them. But they're the sort of people that stand out in a negative way. So what we need to do is, I guess, be more like Magic Johnson, be more like Stephen Heathcote, so that we can be the greatest that we can be, so that we can help others climb the ladder and to become leaders in their own right, in their own time as well. So Magic Johnson, getting back to the story in this book here, Magic Johnson was able to take the talents of the people around him and multiply them by working with them. So instead of them serving him, he was there to serve them. He was there to help them become better at what they did. And I recall reading a book where they talked about another coach in America called John Wooden, who said the most important thing in life is not the number of trophies or the number of competitions that you win, but the person you end up becoming. So it's more about who you develop into as a person and who you help also in terms of the others to develop into the best version of themselves, to become a better person yourself, and to look back over your life and to know that you've created and added significant value along the path. But this book also talks about the fact that we need to be wary, because just like there are people who are magnifiers and people who are multipliers, there are also the opposites. There are people who are diminishers, and there are people who are cannonballs and wrecking balls. and everybody they touch, every environment, every organisation that they find themselves in, they just create problems, they just create issues, and just are narcissists, and just cause absolute grief everywhere they go. And from this author's perspective is to understand that these people are just going to cause damage everywhere they go. So you're better off trying to avoid them at every cost, or if you can't avoid them, at least learn how to use them, and you learn how to play their game and play their game back onto them. So in essence, to learn how to handle a diminisher boss. So some of the key points that the author raises here is that bosses who are multipliers make their team better by magnifying their team's strengths, while selfish diminishers pull their team down. And as I said, most of us will have worked, will have lived, will have shared communal spaces with people who are both magnifiers and also people who are diminishers. And you will understand exactly where we're coming from in terms of these two diametrically opposed skill sets and character types. Because the diminisher will drain those around them, because they just focus on themselves and their own qualities rather than those around them. Team members often feel unfulfilled and inferior. And we've all felt like that. There's no doubt about it. There's no person who is listening to this video who hasn't worked for a dickhead who has made them feel inferior, made them feel that they need to second guess, made them feel stupid. And it happens all the time. And sadly, these diminishers, these people who perform and act like that, don't even know that they are wrecking balls. They don't even know that they're causing serial damage everywhere they go and every person they touch. But the interesting thing is that sooner or later they get found out. The people around them who work with them find them out and don't want to ever work with them again. I remember back in the 80s when I worked at IBM. IBM had a philosophy of promoting from within, and the key was to be a good manager, to help grow people, grow your team, so that those people would want to work with you again in different capacities, knowing very well that the person who you groomed, who you grew, who you mentored, may be your boss one day as well. So, or maybe your customer, maybe your supplier. So it's all about building strong, productive and empowering relationships with people, because you never know how you're going to be working and living and being with those people in future. So the goal is to increase people's potential, not to try and hold them back, not try and keep them in the dark, but to communicate openly with them, to identify their strengths, their weaknesses, for them to understand your strengths and weaknesses, so that you work together, because we are born into this world different from each other. We're all going to have a different past. We're all going to have a different now, a different present. I am here, you are somewhere else, and we're all going to have a different future. But the important thing we need to understand is that we're all born differently, not only from each other, but also for each other. And this is one of the key messages in this book, that we need to understand that what those differences are, so that we can collaborate, cooperate with each other, so that we can leverage each other's strengths, so so that we can team together, we can yoke together with others, because my strength plus your strength creates a strength which is more than just the sum of the product of the individual elements. No, it's a multiplier. It gives tremendous amount of energy rather than just doubling what each person has, because it creates synergy. It creates an extra force. So getting back to diminishers, just to understand that a diminisher is a person who reduces people's potential, reduces their vision, reduces their energy level, and reduces who they are and who they may potentially become as a person. Whereas a multiplier leverages a person's potential. So there are 5 types of multiplier personality types, and the author here talks about the liberator, a person who releases a person's inhibitions and enables them to grow and develop unhindered. There's a person who's known as a challenger, who challenges people to grow and develop, who gives them tasks, who gives them an opportunity to shine and to grow. There's other people who are called talent magnets, people who are able to attract good people to their team through their reputation, through their style, through their capabilities. There are people who are debate makers, people who get people sharing and opening up with their opinions. And there are people who are investors, people who spend time, invest, teach those around them so that they can live, learn and pass it on, so that they grow themselves through growing the people around them. Because at the end of the day, if you want to become a leader, if you want to become a significant other in the world, you need to be able to achieve results through people. You just can't get massive outcomes through your own personal exertion. You need to leverage your personal exertion through other people. I worked in a law firm where there were partners and there were solicitors, and the partner would team with the solicitors, and he or she would input a few units of guidance and direction and supervision, and let the team do the work whilst educating them, whilst working with them, whilst training them, whilst skilling them up along the way, so that they too could grow in their capabilities and be a clone of the partner, so that one day they could become a partner and they could leverage and become better skilled at what they do. So the author then goes on here to talk about it's important to invest in yourself before you invest in others. It's important to grow your skills, to grow your capabilities, to grow who you are, and you do that in your younger years, and then you get to a point where you've built the skills and now you are the leader in your field, and once you become that leader, then you can be able to share those skills with other people and help them grow as well. Because sometimes we learn more from our peers than we learn from our teachers. You know, having good people around you, having good workmates, having somebody to pace with you is going to help you compete better in life. And it's through competition that we become better. It's through competition that we hone our skills. It's through competition that we benchmark and baseline our capabilities to see where we currently are versus where we need to be in order to be the best version that we can be. So sometimes, however, we do come across people who are diminishers, a diminisher boss, and we need to be able to work with them and handle them in order to improve our workplace. And the author here says one of the things that you may want to consider doing is turning the tables and becoming a multiplier towards your boss, using your boss's skills, using your boss's energy, and channeling it in a way that can be more productive as opposed to destructive, is one of the key messages. So to improve a work environment, you need to become a multiplier. You need to become somebody who multiplies, who improves, who generates, who leverages other people. And we need to help others become multipliers as well. So for those of us who are parents, for those of us who are grandparents, we are role models for other people to base their lives on. Make sure you become, or you bring out the multiplier in you so that you can help others grow and develop, and that others can then grow and develop, and you get that ripple effect happening where the skill, the energy, the capability that you've been able to harness, you can then yoke it to others and spread it to others so that they can become better. So you need to uncover both your and other people's special talents and skills, and to not fall for the trap of trying to be the best at everything. We need to focus on one thing at a time and to look for help from others who are good at doing what they're doing at. As a lot of people say, in order to be a great leader, you need to surround yourself with good people, people who have strengths that complement and supplement your weaknesses, and not only to surround yourself with people who have strengths, but to be able to leverage and encourage them to use those strengths rather than to bottle them up. To be somebody who encourages people to come out of their shell, to be somebody who encourages people to grow and develop, and to partner with people rather than to be an opponent of people, to see people as your peer rather than see them as your enemy. So some key messages there from this author, some key messages from the example that Magic Johnson was able to share with his team, with the sports world, and an invitation and an encouragement for us to try and be like Magic Johnson, to be like those sorts of people who add value, people who are welcoming, people who are great to work with, rather than people that you dread to see, dread to talk to, and dread to share the same space with. Anyway, take care everybody, bye for now, and we'll chat again soon. Ciao, bye.